Dun, 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 dun. Oh, let's get it. You. Welcome, 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 everybody, to Everyday Celebrity Media News. This is your host, Jordan Owandi. As you may know, my co-host, you have a co-host, but she's out. She's out for personal reasons. Sending our thoughts and prayers to Zola. Um, yeah. So if y'all just catching this is a live, interactive news show every week on Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. I'm saying you guys can tap in with us, and talk about basically be a part of the show and talk about some of the subjects and the stories that we cover. And this is the number on the screen, as you can see. If you want to call in and tap in, get something off your chest, you know what I'm saying? But let's get into the news. So as all you may know, that COVID is kicking everybody's asses. And the Bay Area, the holidays are coming up. The Bay Area recommends 2 weeks quarantine. So if you're trying to go overseas, or not even overseas, if you're just trying to travel for the weekend, we got Thanksgiving, we got Christmas coming up, New Year's. So what the Bay Area, there's 10 counties, right? There's 10 counties that are saying that if you travel outside of the Bay Area, you need to quarantine for 2 weeks when you get back. And these 10 counties are Marin, Alameda, Contra Costa, Monterey, Napa, San Mateo, San Francisco, Santa Clara, Santa Cruz, Sonoma, and the city of Berkeley. Now, if you live in one of those counties, what they're saying is they recommend you quarantine for 14 days when you return from your travels. So if you go see your friends or your family or whatever for Thanksgiving, and if you live in one of those counties, when you come back, you're going to have to quarantine for 14 days. Now, I don't know how the fuck they're going to, I don't know how they're going to police that, but you never know these days. They might be watching you as soon as you check in to the airport. What they're also saying is everyone who is planning on traveling for the holidays, to make sure you get tested before you go and get tested when you come back, because we don't need y'all spreading this shit. There's a 25% increase on cases according to the KCBS. Now, if you don't know what the KCBS is, don't ask me. I'm just the messenger. And also, there was 1,411 cases on Monday, which marks the third highest single day total for coronavirus cases in the Bay Area, which is very, very, very bad. Now, if you want more information on that, travel restrictions, you can go to sfgate.com. This article was published by SF Gate and reported by Amy Graff. Now, we got story number 2. This is a weird one. Menlo Park. There's a school teacher. Well, not a school teacher. He's a school president of Menlo Park District of the board. And he has stepped down. And the reason he stepped down is because his wife, he didn't do anything. His wife put out a tweet talking about Kamala Harris. And her name is Meredith Phillips Venverlo. Now I don't know if that's Russian or some shit, but it doesn't sound American. Meredith Phillips Venverlo, the wife of Los Lamitas Elementary School District Board President John Venverlo. She sent out a tweet about Kamala Harris, and her tweet was, what she said was, now I'm quoting her, she put this tweet out, which since has been deleted, obviously, because when people say shit, racist shit, and then they get caught, they always backtrack and be like, oh, I mean, I didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. So she put out this tweet about Kamala Harris. This is what she wrote. She wrote, all she needs to be qualified is a black bitch, no brain needed. Now that's what she wrote about Kamala Harris. Now people found out about that, and then she obviously deleted her Twitter account, and because she was finding all this backlash, and now her husband, which is the school board president, the school district board president of Los Lamitas Elementary School, he had to step down because obviously he was facing backlash because of what his wife said. And she blamed it on, so this is what she blamed it on. She blamed it on that she was coming down off medications. So she's basically saying that she was drugged up, and which made her get her phone and tweet this racist shit about Kamala Harris. Her husband is an old former Google executive. So now he is out of a job. So kudos to him quitting. You know what I'm saying? But get your bitch in check so you won't have to go through this crazy shit. Another thing that happened in the news, crazy story. There was this is another story about a fucking school teacher. Now, school teachers, I mean, I'm going to have some school teachers on, a school teacher on later, but we're not going to get into that. But this is another story about a school teacher. He told his students, so this is the headline: a school teacher tells students for extra credit to pose with your parents' sex toys. Now, this is a high school teacher, a 10th grade high school teacher from Encinal High School. Now, if you guys don't know where Encinal High School, Google it. If you got kids, teenagers in Encinal High School, you might want to pay attention. So he's a 10th grade teacher at Encinal High School. His name is Wing Hua Lung. Wing Hua Lung. Now, obviously, this is a Chinaman. Now, he gives an assignment for students to take a selfie. He tells the students to take a selfie with his parents' sex toys for extra credit. He gives them an assignment. He tells them for extra credit he wants his students to look for condoms, dildos, vibrators, and fucking just anything that has to do with sex toys. He wants these students to go look for him and pose, take a selfie and send it to him. And then obviously when you tell your students to do that, it's going to get back to the fucking let's go to get back to the fucking parents. So the parents found out, they complained, and basically the school board said that the teacher meant it as a joke. He was just fucking around. So basically, the teacher still works at Incidental High School, teaching your guys' kids. And if you want any more information on this story, you can go find it at the Huffington Post. It was reported by David Moy. Now, another story in the news: we have a burglary. A burglar got acquitted. A burglar got acquitted in San Francisco. So this guy is 41 years old. His name is Santonio Avils of San Francisco. So this guy breaks into someone's house. And the crazy thing is, his lawyer, when he was talking to the judge, his lawyer states that his client was fucking high off meth. So this guy breaks into someone's house, right? He finds a way into the building, climbs up, and then finds a open window, climbs in the window, goes to sleep, takes a nap in the fucking house. Now, mind you, these people are still in the fucking apartment. They're asleep. So he climbs into the window, takes a nap inside the apartment. He steals a passport of the person and a backpack. And then obviously the people who were in the apartment wake up, beat the shit out of him, call the cops, blah, blah, blah. And then when he goes to court, he was saying he was suffering from a meth-induced psychosis. Now, if you guys don't know what a meth-induced psychosis, that's when you are on meth, and the symptoms for a meth-induced psychosis is delusions, paranoia, and hallucinations. Now, all of you guys who've done meth out there know what I'm talking about. Not me, but his lawyer, public defender, said, yeah, the dude was high. He was suffering from meth-induced psychosis, and the judge believed it and dismissed the fucking charges. So the only thing he was charged with was like misdemeanor battery because he got in a fight with the fucking with the people who actually lived in the apartment. And this happened in San Francisco. And this story could be found on the Huffington Post if you want to read details on that. Also reported by David Moy. So those are just some headlines, I'm saying, that I did a little research on to let you know the crazy shit that's going on in the Bay Area. Crazy shit happens all day. But let's get further into the story. We are going to invite. We have two guests coming on today. One is a teacher. He's a teacher. His name is Timothy. He's a teacher. He's an activist. He makes songs for candidates. And then we have another guest. She's an activist, and she also teaches courses about white privilege. So we're going to talk to these people. So stay tuned. Let's see if I can get them on the design. How's everybody doing out there? If my audio is right, just put a thumbs up if you can hear me correctly. You know what I'm saying? Please put a thumbs up if you can hear me. We're going to get our two guests online. All right, cool. Thank you, Joseph, for letting me know that. Let's see. So yeah, like I said, we have two guests coming on, two activists. And if you want to ask them questions, feel free. Feel free to call in. As you see the numbers at the top. Or if you just want to get something off your chest, you know what I'm saying? Feel free to call in. Let's conversate. Don't call with no bullshit, you know what I'm saying? I'll match the energy. Okay, we have our first guest here. This is Mira. Hold on, Mira. I'm bringing someone else in. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm good. Hold on. Let's see here. All right. So,
Hi.
can everybody hear me?
Hello. Yes.
All right. So what we have here, we have Timothy, who is a. Well, Timothy, tell everyone what you do and your yeah, give us a rundown on your background, what you do, and what you're doing now.
Nice. So I am a second grade teacher. I live in Oakland. I also am a musician. I write and produce and perform social justice folk music, if you can call it folk, I guess.
Yep.
And I'm very passionate about anti-racism and just making our society, a helpful, creative, helpful and supportive place for everybody who lives in the country and in the world. Like I think everyone should be able to access goodness and enough wealth to survive and all those good things.
All right, Mira, can you give us your background real quick?
Hi, I'm Mira. Where to begin? I'm a former educator, so I feel like I'm just that's it's kind of like you can take the person out the classroom, but you can't take the classroom out of me. So I used to teach high school, and now I'm working with adults, particularly doing a lot of work around white anti-racism and equity strategies for companies and things. I'm white, I'm Jewish, I'm queer, I'm from San Francisco, currently live in East Oakland on Chochenyo Ohlone land. I'm a plant witch,
Oh my
and
god.
I he's very enthusiastic about that. And I really, attempt to weave in as many like earth-based practices in my activism and my work. I'm a Sagittarius. It's about to be Sagittarius season.
Oh my god. Can we
And yeah,
stick
I just
to
started a business this year.
the real shit?
What'd you say, Jordan?
All right. We get it. Okay. Now.
It's valid. Let her talk.
All right, Timothy. Now, what campaigns have you worked for in the past?
Yeah, I've done some organizing sort of on my own recently. I organized or helped to organize a Get Out the Vote live stream. And we ended up having some really interesting people come talk with us about the different props in California. We ended up talking about Prop 15, Prop 22, and 23, none of which went the direction they should have gone
Yeah.
in this past election. I was pretty disappointed in California voters for that. But we ended up having we had some musicians come out. We had Mayor Libby Schaaf came and talked with us. We also we were supposed to have candidate for city council in District 5, Zoe Lopez Meraz. but she wasn't able to make it last minute, which was disappointing. But we also had Peter Lamata, who is a second grade teacher in Oakland, and he runs Storytime with Mr. Lamata, which is a storytime group. We're all just able to talk about education. We talked about gig share workers. We also talked about Prop 23, which is about dialysis patients which are not properly protected in California or anywhere across the state by some of these private healthcare organizations. So that's part of what I do. I also like to organize. I write music, and then I reach out, and I've been fundraising for the Anti-Police Terror Project in Oakland. One of my songs, yeah, I know, they're awesome. One of my songs I have up on Bandcamp, and whatever you donate on there to download, it's a free download, but if you donate, all the proceeds go to the Anti-Police Terror Project, and 25% of all the money that I make with my music, forever going forward, I'm planning on donating to different organizations, but right now I'm focusing on Anti-Police Terror Project, ACLU, and United We Dream, which is an immigrant rights organization.
Now, when did you? You're a teacher, correct?
Yes.
What grade do you teach?
Second grade. I have
grade?
little ones.
The baby.
And how was that?
Right now it's different than it's ever been before. It's a very challenging transition for most 7 and 8 year olds to suddenly be online completely and not even at school. But we're doing our best. We're working together, figuring out new ways every day that work better for my students, and working really closely with families whenever that's possible.
Okay, now is the shelter in place, the distance learning. Is your school board? Do you approve with your school board's methods or no?
I appreciate. I'm actually at a public charter school in Alameda. I live in Oakland, but I teach in Alameda, and they tend to sort of consult with the Alameda, public education in Alameda. But we are our own district technically, so we have some leeway in how we do things, and I appreciate that. Instead of jumping back to in-person learning at the first possible moment, we decided to just kind of wait a minute to make sure that when we go back, it'll be sustainable, it'll be healthy, it will be good for everybody involved, parents, teachers, and students. So yes, okay. We'll see. We're talking about January going back in person, but that's going to depend on what things are like at that point.
Do you think you should go back in January?
I mean, ideally, in an ideal world, I think that I can't wait to go back to be together in person. Yeah. But I also don't want to put families, students, or myself at risk. My wife teaches at a private school, but she's already back in person. And it was a really big lift to get everybody back in person, and there's just so much to figure out. Okay. Yeah.
And Mira, you are an educator as well, right?
Yes, not currently in the K-12 system anymore, but yeah, we are all life students. So I guess educator is still the word, even though in corporate and in the adult realm, they're not like, let's hire an educator to come in and train us. I feel like that word is usually relegated to kind of K-12 or K-college, but.
So you're not actually teaching like students in schools, right? But you are teaching. You get hired by like corporate companies and that. So what do they hire? What do these corporate companies hire you for to teach them?
So I'm currently actually mainly working with schools right now. That's where most of my contracts are. Several charter schools in the East Bay, and just completed my first corporate contract, which is really exciting because I'm trying to get those tech dollars, very different dollars than school dollars. But we mainly focus on like white anti-racism and all sorts of elements around racial justice. I think my calling and my work is really organizing fellow white folks, and it took a while to get to that point, but really essential for me and my work and my growth and my healing. And I know I can pass that on to others. So That's what most of my work is like. Sometimes co-facilitating with another Black or brown educator, doing group trainings in multiracial spaces, and then breaking out into affinity space, or kind of like racial caucusing groups, as folks often call it.
Now, why do you think teaching white folks about racism is so important to you?
Well, you and I were having this discussion recently, and part of me, thinks that the system's not going to change. Like we talked about, power is going to stay centralized and has been centralized since white folks were invented and since we created the whole concept of race. So it's certainly an uphill battle, and it's, as we saw in the recent election, the majority of white people voted for Trump. The majority of white women, the majority of white men, like just white folks want to side with Trump. And even if you voted for Biden, doesn't mean that you're intentionally out here trying to smash white supremacy, and are for reparations and change of power and all sorts of things. But white supremacy is so deeply embedded in every single system and every single value and element of culture. And so my work is about like my own individual and people's healing in terms of divesting from a project that dehumanizes us, and also trying to actually shift material resources. I think so much of anti-racism work is about like the interpersonal and how things make you feel and how to be more, cognizant when someone calls you out. And that stuff doesn't shift power. That stuff doesn't shift people's material realities. And of course, it's important, but I'm really trying to shift what the day to day looks like for folks, and whether people are locked in prisons, or whether people are having access to healthcare, whether folks have housing, whether folks are able to travel and, invest in the things that make them well and whole, like Timothy was saying.
Mm.
So that's the long term vision. And then
Now,
the work on the ground is a
you
lot
also
harder.
stated that you think all white people are racist, correct?
Of course.
Now,
Stand
Timothy, do
by
you
it.
agree? Do you agree with that statement?
I think people get so they get caught up in the term white supremacy, and I think that they don't realize how insidious, like it's built into every little part of how we think, and it's hard to even recognize. And if you read a book like I'm totally gonna blank on the name, Robin DiAngelo's book.
White fragility.
White Fragility. Yeah, she does a really nice job of just reminding us, like, it's only reason it exists is because we don't know that it exists.
Mm.
So absolutely, we are racist because we were raised in every part of what we do with this element of racism that's built and baked in, so that we don't recognize it. Also, as white people, we're protected and taken out of the spaces that involve the racism, so we don't have to even experience it or know that it's going on.
Yeah.
But that's how we enforce it, and that's how we make it real, is by just not knowing about it, not caring about it, or taking the time to figure out what's really going on. And then we just accept, like, well, just, poor people are mostly black or brown, and they happen to live in these areas, and they just decided to live there for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
They just, it's all these beliefs, and it's like, well, we all live out here in these expensive homes and have access to all these jobs, and those people are poor because all this language is built into the racism, and it's used to justify, like, well, it's not because of race, it's just because they're poor, or it's not because of race, it's just anyone can make it, but these people are just they're lazier, they didn't get the job, they didn't try as hard in school, so that's why. But really, it's baked in so that it's so much harder, and we don't have to deal with that reality because we're taken out of those spaces for the most part.
Yeah.
So yes, we're racist, not necessarily intentionally. Some people are intentionally racist, but we're doing it without realizing it. I think it's something, once you start to learn more about it, once you start to see, like, you don't want to be a part of it.
Uh, now we have a question from Zola Him. She's supposed to be laying in her bed, sleep sick, but she's commenting. Um, she says, "I like to comment on just one thing. I noticed this week when we say the color nude or flesh tone, it's used to describe paint colors, brand colors, and of course in the beauty industry."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I guess that's the first part. Hold on. Second part is, but using nude or flesh tone to describe BG pink is racist. Now, how do you guys feel
Totally.
about this? Or do you understand the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember realizing this back in college, and you know, my friend group in college was like very like the kind of stereotypical young radical folks, and we all really pushed each other, and everything was problematic, and our eyes were being kind of open to many different realities. And I remember being drunk at a house party and literally saying that to a friend. I was like, "Don't say nude, like that is,
What's the
that
problem with nude?
insinuates," like referring to like my skin color, Timothy's skin color. Like that's one type of nude. You have a different color nude, right?
Oh, wait,
But
wait, wait,
nude, if
wait,
you
wait.
look
So when people
at
describe white people, they say nude? I've never heard this.
no, so like certain what Zola's saying is like certain paint colors. Remember, like the crayons there used to be like a white person's skin color that was called skin color. That was the name of the crayon. That has changed, but it's like band-aids or um, if you get certain lipstick, it'll be called nude, or certain paints or makeup. But nude just means someone naked. It doesn't mean a white person naked, but that's what it has come to resemble when we think of that color, as opposed to the entire array of human skin colors that look very different nude. Does
Mm.
that make sense?
Hey, it's for the
So
people
kind of
it's
like
for
what
the people
Timothy was
to
saying,
say.
and just in the ways in which whiteness is centered. Whiteness is the center. Whiteness is a standard of humanity, and how that is the framework from which we understand the world and the way we understand bodies and the way we understand one another. So,
Timothy, what's your view
yeah.
on that question?
I agree. I mean, I think that's totally about the idea of being white centered. We get to be raceless. We're
Yeah.
normal, and we're told that throughout our whole growing up all the time. It's like your skin color is normal, your hair is normal, everything about you is normal, and then there's these other people. It's like if you just say, well, this person's walking down the street, generally they're talking about a white person, but if you specify the race, probably talking about a person of color. And that's, it's maybe slowly changing in some circles, but generally we get to just be normal, which is another way that we think we protect that. The white supremacy is like we don't even have to be named.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing we can do is name ourselves and name other people for being white. We're
Yeah.
racial just like everybody else.
Yep.
All right, so Timothy, how do you educate people through your music? Explain that to me.
Well, I think it starts with the writing. I'll think about I've written all kinds of music before. I have different music projects from the past, and it just occurred to me in my writing that I wanted to be able to do everything. I love music, but I also love I love making the world a more equal place, and so I wanted my music to be just as impactful in that way as musically. So I try to make and it tends to be pretty complex music with lyrics talking about anything from immigrant rights to how corporations sort of, they run the world and call a lot of the shots politically in a lot of other ways. And so I think it's sort of an education thing as well. Not that, and I have a pretty diverse, politically diverse family. And by that I mean I have some people in my family are conservative, and the conversation isn't always an educational thing. It tends to be more of a fight. So I'm not expecting that people will suddenly, give up their ideas and like, oh, really? I had no idea. But I think the more that we talk about it, the more, I think it does help to change hearts and minds. Normalize, like, we have to think about race. We have to think about poverty. We have to think about power and privilege. And I think the more we do that, we can make better decisions going forward. So that's kind of the point of the music. And then I wanted to not just be talking about these issues, I wanted to be actually doing something about it, which is why I've decided to donate a portion of everything that I do to organizations who are making a big difference in our community.
Dope.
Now, what are some? I know you said this before, but what are some organizations that you work with?
So I've reached out to the Anti-Police Terror Project, and they're at least aware of what I'm doing. It hasn't been a massive success as far as raising a ton of money so far, but every day, especially when you're teaching, it's hard to spend enough time on music. It's just hard to reach people in general. But I've been really happy to be able to donate at least some money to them and make a little bit of a difference, and then just keep moving forward on growing what that could be and the impact that could have. Yeah. I've also, I'm really interested in United We Dream. If you go to my website, you can donate. You can go right to their website. I have a whole page just about causes that I support. Right now I have 3 on there. The ACLU is amazing at sponsoring lawsuits to just, empower people and keep freedom happening. They're like a really nice check on people who try to just make things happen, and ACLU has the power and the resources to be able to fight those things in court. So I'm a fan of that. So those are the 3 I have on my website at the moment.
Okay. And where can they find your music? Your music's on your website as well?
Yeah, you can find it on my website. The best way to support me is going just on my website and purchasing. I just have a new album out a new EP. It's 4 songs called "Vote Them Out," and it works to some degree anyway. We're continuing to work on Georgia, but those 4 songs are out, but you can also find it on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you stream music. Follow me; it'll be really great. Share it with people you know.
Okay. And Mira, what do you have?
I'm excited.
What do you have going on?
Yes.
Radical music. Like tonight, next week, in general.
Oh my God. What do you have going on in your life? What are you looking forward to?
Sagittarius season.
Oh,
wait.
So you just got you're about to do you just got hired by a tech company, right?
I did, which I'm so excited about. Thumbtack.
Thumbtack. And what are you going to be doing for them?
I actually used to work for, but I'm doing a workshop for their queer employee resource group, and they're going to invite all the other employee resource groups. So like the Latinx group, Black group, etc. Parent, that's all sorts of little like affinity clubs or whatever they call them. And it's going to be about the intersections of queerness and racial justice movements in the Bay. And since I'm from San Francisco and so many tech folks are not from here and get to come here and really benefit from what the Bay provides and has created, and really not have to invest in the local community. This workshop's going to be about ways to plug in and ways to really center local folks and how to invest authentically in this community when you say you're part of it, but your actions don't really prove that. So that's coming up. I'm super excited for that. And then some other work that I've been involved in the last 2 years is different sort of reparations work, and just launched a study action group for fellow white Jews around reparations to Black and Native folks, particularly. And that work is super tight, and I'm hoping to kind of weave that into more of my organizing and facilitation work with white folks because, like I said earlier, there's so many ways in which people want to be a good white person or be seen as someone who's actively involved in anti-racism. And in my opinion, one of the most important ways we can do that is shifting wealth and shifting power and land and resource. So, yeah.
Okay. And where can people find you?
My website, mirastern.com, or on Instagram at it's Mira Stern.
Okay.
That's me.
Well, thank you very much, Mira Stern and Timothy from the Soapbox Salute, for joining me today, dropping some knowledge. And Timothy, you don't got your guitar, do you?
I do have it. It's not going to sound too great. Usually the best way is when
Sing. You want to sing something real quick, or no?
Sure, I can sing something.
Yeah,
I'll have to go grab it. It's downstairs.
Yeah, go ahead, run. Go ahead. Let's hear
All
something.
right.
I'll talk to Mira real quick.
An impromptu concert. That's pretty dope.
Well, that's how it goes on this. We're still live, so don't say anything crazy. Do you have a dog right now that's eating something? What's that cracking noise?
I don't know what it is. It's not on my end.
Do
I
you
think
hear
it's
it?
on his end. I do.
Yeah.
My dog doesn't chew that loud. She's only like 40 pounds.
So have you finished what you were working on for your little presentation?
For what?
For Thumbtack.
Oh, no, I haven't started yet. And I'm excited. It's in December.
When is it?
But no, I work on it like the night before.
When is it supposed to be? I couldn't hear you. What'd you
Go ahead
say?
and plug these headphones in here.
All right, we got Timothy back. Go to hit us up with a live concert.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
All right, great. Let's see. I didn't necessarily plan on playing, but I'm always ready.
Yeah, go ahead. You got the full screen.
I'm going to play this track. This one's called Freeze Ice, and it's just about, I based it on a central idea of whenever we're talking about immigration and undocumented workers, we always tend to center on, these people are here, they're not supposed to be here, so they're in the wrong. But we never, hardly ever talk about their massive companies are hiring them to be here. They're wanted. People want them here, but they don't want to have to take responsibility for any of those actions. So it's really just based on why don't we ever prosecute or talk about companies who are making millions of dollars, and they're the ones that always take advantage of people. So anyway, here's the track. Fields once filled with motion, one moment and they're gone. Children in their classrooms and they're crying, no one to take them home. These are the casualties of our nation. Will we just stand by? These are the casualties of our system. Will we even try? Someone gave them jobs to work here, severely underpaid. And ICE courts round them up like criminals.
penalties for the company. These injustices of our nation, punishing the vulnerable. Why don't we prosecute who made the millions? They can pay to fix it. In the dead of night, so for pennies in that fight and bargaining agents. Getting a little extra percussion from my dog. Over the lives of the people whom they have abused in a modern day slavery where you can have as many as you can use, and when it's inconvenient, just call your friends at ICE. It's very neat and nice when the workers get to righteous and want to have some rights. Not the whole bunch, you're gonna need a workforce. They are, after all, the whole industry's workhorse. These are the casualties of our nation. Will we just stand by? These are the casualties of our nation. Will we even try? These are the casualties of our nation. Will we even try? These are the casualties of our system. Will we even try? These injustices of our nation, punishing the vulnerable. Why don't we prosecute who made the millions? They could pay to fix it.
That was beautiful.
Didn't
Thank you
expect
so
the
much.
extra dog percussion, squeaker percussion, but there you go.
It added
All right,
so
well,
much.
nice. That was nice. And that song's on your EP.
Yes, that song is, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Instagram, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, or on my website. There's more trumpets in the actual version and guitar solos, so it's a lot of fun.
All right. Well,
Beautiful.
everybody, please go check that song out on all of those platforms. Thanks once again for performing for us, Timothy. And
No
thanks
problem.
thanks Mira for joining us. And please, everybody, go on her Instagram, and she can teach you how not to be a Karen these days.
Pretty much. Very important.
All right. Well, good night. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Bye.
Peace,
for
everybody.
having me.
Well, that was dope. And now we are going to get into our live sports. Let's see here. I know sports has been dry, but we still got to report what's going on. We're going to see what our sports reporter has for us today. See if this nigga did his job and got me some sports stories.
Yo, sports report. Back here live again, once again. Everyday Celebrity bringing me back on. What's going on, Boozin?
Hold on, let me get you. Let me get you right. Let me get you right. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get you right. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, now, welcome once again. This is Ron, the sports reporter of Everyday Celebrity Media News, coming to tell us what's going on this week in the in the sports world. What do you have for us today?
Man, before I get started, I want to give a shout out to We the People Clothing. My boy Chris is doing big things. Check him out on IG when you get a chance. But right now, what's big in sports? It's kind of a slow week in sports since all that's going on is football and a little golf. And since I have no interest in golf, we won't talk about that today. But I wanted to start off talking about the NFL and just what teams I picked this week. It's COVID scares all over the league, players being out. Like I said last week, all these sports have an asterisk on it. I don't care what sport it is. When players have to sit out because of this disease and all these uncommon things that are getting in the way of all these seasons and that are also getting away in regular life, I'm putting an asterisk on it. So first this week, we got the Colts versus the Titans. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I think I got the Colts pulling this one out. We got the Texans facing the Browns.
No, wait a minute, because I need to write.
Yeah, write them down.
I'm going to write all your picks down
because
because next week when you come on, I'm going to be like, nigga, you don't
let's
know shit
revisit
about
it.
what you talking
Let's
about.
revisit it. I'm with the movement.
All right, hold on, wait a minute. Let me get this list. You got the list in front of you?
I got it in front of me right now.
All right. All right, go ahead.
First game is the Colts versus the Titans.
And you picked who?
And I'm taking the Colts.
You got the Colts. All right.
Second game is Texans and Browns. I'm taking the Browns.
Browns. All right.
The third game is Washington versus the Lions. This is probably going to be the hardest game to pick of the week because both these teams are complete trash and both these teams want to lose every game to try and get the first pick in the draft. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Lions accidentally win this game.
The Lions. All right.
The next game is the Jaguars versus the Packers. I am picking the Packers to win that game by 20.
By 20.
We got the Eagles versus the Giants.
All right.
And I'm going to make the sexy pick and go with the Giants, who shouldn't win, but I'm going to pick them because
the Giants, ain't they like 0-9 or some shit?
They're 2-7, but the Eagles find a way to be complete trash versus trash teams, and I got a feeling they're going to play down the competition, so I'm picking the Giants just for
they playing in New York?
Shits and giggles. Let me see, where are they playing? Yes, they are playing at home in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Next game is the Buccaneers and the Panthers. Even though Tom Brady looked absolutely terrible the other night versus Saints, I will be taking the Buccaneers over the Panthers. The next game we have is the Raiders versus the Broncos. I will be picking the Raiders in this game as well.
Raiders always lose to the Broncos. That's a bad pick. But go ahead.
Yeah, but the Broncos are complete trash this year, so I'm going to give Raiders a benefit of the doubt since they've been playing good the last few weeks. The next game is the San Diego Chargers versus the Miami Dolphins. I am going with the Miami Dolphins in this game. Next game is also a hard game to pick. It's going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the Arizona Cardinals. I want to pick the Cardinals, but the Bills find a way to just play good for no reason. So I'm going to pick the Bills. Next game we have is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Los Angeles Rams. I think the Seahawks are the better team, but I think that the Rams find a way to outscore them because the Seahawks defense is bad. So I'm going to take the Rams this week. You got the San Francisco 49ers versus Saints, New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Saints in this game to win by at least 14 points. Niners suck. In the next game, we got the Cincinnati Bengals versus Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like either one of these teams, but because the Steelers are 8-0, I'm going to pick them to finish this game with a win and be 9-0. Following game, we have the Ravens versus the Patriots.
Is this Monday Night Football game or no?
Nah, it's not. It's a Sunday night football game.
The Ravens.
It's Ravens. Yeah, Baltimore Ravens versus New England Patriots. And even though you might think I'm crazy for doing this, I'm gonna pick Cam and the Patriots. I just got a feeling that Bill Belichick is gonna find a way to confuse Lamar Jackson. And Monday night football game is gonna be the Bears versus the It's gonna be the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings, and I am gonna pick the Chicago Bears to pull this game off.
Mm.
Those are my power picks. Say it
what?
again.
What?
After you.
So, who's your MVP so far in the NFL season? Do you think?
My MVP so far in the NFL season, I still got to go with Russell Wilson, even though they lost last week. He's got like 21 or 22 touchdown passes through 7 or 8 weeks, which is on par with breaking the record for the most touchdowns in the season. I don't think he will do it, but he is also having just an awesome year. His second year, wide receiver DK Metcalf has given him a dimension to his offense that's just kind of made him unstoppable. He's got the big receiver he could throw to at any time, but he also has guys underneath like Tyler Lockett, David Moore, who are contributing very big time to his numbers. So, yeah, I got to go with Russell Wilson right now at this current time.
And what teams do you think are going to make it to the Super Bowl?
It's kind of tough to say right now, but I'm not betting against the Chiefs if they're healthy just because their offense is so dynamic. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs in the AFC. And then the NFC, I think it could be like 2 or 3 different teams. I think it's a toss-up between the Saints, the Packers. I would have to go with the Seahawks are probably my favorites. And I can't count Tom Brady and Tampa Bay out because they have a bunch of weapons on offense. But if I had to narrow it down to one, I'm going to go with the Seahawks.
The Seahawks and the Chiefs?
Seahawks and Chiefs in your Super Bowl, yes, sir.
Okay. Now the NBA draft is coming up. Who do you think is
Yes,
going to
it
go
is.
number one?
I'm hard pressed to not see LaMelo Ball go number one. His highlight reel, while it's not against college competition, is still pretty quality moves, quality jump shot. His passing is clearly there. I'm seeing as how his brother is a top level passer. It's safe to say he's probably going to be a really good passer in the NBA, but I think that his offense, from a scoring standpoint, is going to be a step above his brother's. And so Minnesota, I would have a hard time seeing him not drafting him. The only way I don't see him drafted number one is if Minnesota trades that pick somewhere else. But I think if they trade that pick somewhere else, that team is going to pick him number one as well. It's a bit of a scary pick, though, just because of the level of competition he's played against. But something tells me he's got the NBA pedigree to be the number one pick.
You think he's better than Lonzo Ball?
By a country mile. I just feel like at this point, Lonzo's confidence is shot in a way that LaMelo's isn't. Now, if you ask me this question in 2 or 3 years and LaMelo finds himself traded from the team that drafted him and playing for like a regular ass NBA team like the New Orleans Pelicans, no hate on the Pelicans, but just that's not a front office you think of building championship contenders and building players. So, like, if he's in that kind of position in 3 years, then he's going to be the same as his brother. But I think he's going to have a better shape just from a confidence standpoint.
Mm. And who do you see? Obviously, Klay Thompson is coming back. What do you see the Warriors doing next season?
It's really difficult to get a real beat on what they can do. They have a $17.5 million trade exception. The NBA just announced that the luxury tax is going to be lowered to about 30%, just based on the fact that they're going to lose so much revenue, which gives the Warriors a position where they could spend more money knowing they won't be taxed as high on the luxury tax end. So the options are so vast for the Warriors. How I would play it is I would put all my chips in the middle of the table to try and trade for Giannis. Take that number 2 pick either before the draft and draft Wiseman for them.
Milwaukee's not going to trade Giannis, nigga.
I'm sorry?
Milwaukee's not going to trade him.
I
trade
mean,
Giannis for what?
real,
The third. The Warriors got what? The 3rd pick.
Warriors got the 2nd pick in the draft, which is quite intriguing. And there's a couple of players that would fit. They need a 2-guard to go along with D'Angelo Russell and to go along with Karl-Anthony Towns. I don't see Phoenix Suns trading Booker, who is their ideal piece, but a player that's similar to him that can get buckets is Anthony Edwards, and I would see him being more of a fit for that team than I would LaMelo Ball, even because LaMelo's going to need the ball in his hands. But we can also tell that D'Angelo is a ball dominant player as well. So it's going to be difficult to see those two fitting in Minnesota. But again, back to the Warriors, there's rumors that they're trying to trade for LaMarcus Aldridge. I hope that trade does not involve the number 2 pick whatsoever, because that would be ridiculous. Even if they were willing to give up their number 11 pick and LaMarcus Aldridge, it would still be a terrible trade. But let's say you could trade LaMarcus Aldridge for Wiggins straight up. I think I would be open to that trade. While Wiggins can score 20 points a game, let's be real, he's not a go-to player. When the game is on the line, he's not going to be there to be counted on.
Wiggins
But
got
LaMarcus
mental
Aldridge
issues, nigga.
adds a dimension to the Warriors that they don't have, which is a big man that can shoot free throw line extended, can shoot spot up threes. If you want to double team Steph, if you want to double, shade your defense towards Clay, you got to worry about LaMarcus Aldridge on the other side. You can't just have your weak side defender trying to cheat over all the time, because LaMarcus Aldridge will bust your ass with wide open jump shots all day long. Only my issue with that trade is that he just is such a detractor on the defensive end of the court and he just hasn't ever showed like real heart as an NBA player in the playoffs. So he kind of scares me, but it's also intriguing. He's 35, so that's also something that makes me kind of like shy away from wanting to do that trade. But right now, if I'm the Warriors, with just what we have on the table and the options we don't have in front of us to like really determine what they will do, I draft Wiseman number 2. I mean, his highlights say he should be drafted high. Right now, he can, if nothing else, run the floor and play defense and rebound. If he can do that successfully for the Warriors, I think he would be a good matchup to split minutes.
Who's Wiseman, the dude from Georgia?
James Wiseman, he played at Memphis, but he only played 12 games because of improper NCAA BS. Anthony Edwards is the dude that played at Georgia, who I was saying should be drafted by Minnesota. He's a 2-guard, flashy, got hops, decent jump shot. He's a little young. He's got to learn how to play in a team system, but he's got all the flashes of being like a premier 2-guard in the league. Kind of reminds me of D-Wade.
All right. Anything else to report?
Man, I'm just excited. We got free agency coming up in like 2 weeks because the NBA season is starting December 22nd. So training camp will be here soon. Be on the lookout. I think it's going to be a wild season for a bunch of NBA teams. But
do you think Russell Westbrook is going to get traded from Houston?
I absolutely think he's going to get traded, and I can see James Harden also getting traded as well. You keep hearing the rumors about James Harden to Philly. That would be a great trade, but I don't see why Houston would make that trade. I wouldn't trade Ben Simmons for Harden, but I also feel like Russ has to go. He's a great fit for the Knicks, who want to get people to come watch some exciting basketball. He can go there and shoot 1,000,000 bricks without an issue. There's also rumors of him being traded to the Clippers. If I'm the Clippers, I wouldn't touch Russell Westbrook with a 10-foot pole just because he doesn't fit into the team aspect. His spot-up jump shot, playing off of Kawhi, playing off of Paul George, just not a good fit. But if I was Houston, I would move off a $45 million a year contract for Westbrook, who's definitely not going to ever be worth what he's being paid now.
So you're saying Houston is gearing toward a rebuilding phase?
I think that's the only direction Houston can go in. James Harden's 31. The Houston Rockets window has closed. I never thought it was that big of a window to begin with. It felt like, how like when the elevator's closing and somebody's running trying to jump in the elevator before it closes, or trying to jump on the train right before the train closes. I felt like their window was like that fucking big, just enough room to jump on the train for a championship. And that is clearly way over. They traded their big man, like you got to do 6'5", 6'6", playing center. I just don't see no way how Houston keeps this going. I mean, they can keep James Harden, Westbrook. They'll probably be a top 5, top 6 seed, but second round at most. What's the point in continuing to go down that road? You already know it's going to lead nowhere. Might as well blow it up.
Where do you see Chris Paul going next? Do you see him getting traded?
I do see him being traded. The most intriguing trade that I've heard so far is him being traded to the Phoenix Suns. There were some rumblings about going to the Lakers earlier. Then I've also seen some stuff online where Chris Paul is saying he doesn't want to go to the Lakers. You never know in this climate where players do want to go. But a great fit that I think would be an underrated move would be him going to Phoenix. I think it would help Devin Booker out a lot, not having to be on the ball as much. But I think the person that it would help the most is DeAndre Ayton. You get a point guard who knows how to pass to a center, who knows how to get center the ball in spots they need him in. And Chris Paul being a pass-first point guard, but also being able to get his shot, I think he would do wonders for that team. I could see Phoenix, especially with how they played in the bubble, I could see them being a top 4, top 5 seed if they were able to acquire Chris Paul for the next season.
Yeah, okay. So who do you got winning the championship in the NBA next season?
Next year I can't really call it. It's too soon to call it. But like being a homer that I am, I'm gonna say the Lakers not gonna win it. I think the Lakers are going to have the hardest time repeating of any team in the last 10
Oh, you
years.
crazy.
Any of the last 3 or
They
4
about to
teams
get
to
Serge
repeat. I'm not
Ibaka.
crazy. That's cool. Y'all trying to get Serge Ibaka, but y'all don't have Serge Ibaka yet. And Serge
We
Ibaka could
actually
also
don't
be
even
an
need that nigga.
option for the Warriors. Remember, the Warriors got money to spend too, baby. And he would be a great fit with the Warriors as well. Say he wouldn't.
All right, whatever. All
No,
right.
but if I had to choose, I would choose in the finals right now, just based off where the season ended, I would either go Lakers, Clippers in the West, and in the East, I'm going with Brooklyn. I mean, they just loaded up. It's gonna be hard to not see Brooklyn in there, unless Miami makes a big trade and gets somebody like Giannis, which is also an option for them as well mid-season. I think if the Bucks start off with a terrible season, like they start off like 14-14, and they in like 6th place in the East, I could easily see Giannis telling them he wants out. I know for a fact if they don't win a championship this year, he's leaving. I don't care what people say about it. Oh, he said he wanted to stay in Milwaukee. Kyrie wanted to stay in Boston 2 seasons ago. He asked the whole crowd, if you'll have me back, I'd love to be in Boston for the rest of my career. 6 months later, he signed with Brooklyn. So
well, a lot of people,
I have no faith in
don't
him.
know that when Kyrie asked to be traded, he didn't ask to be traded to Boston. That's just where they traded him to.
They traded him to a major playoff contender. Oh, what a travesty. How dare Cleveland send him to a place where he still had a chance to play for a chip? It's not like getting traded to the Cleveland Browns or being traded to like the Charlotte Hornets where you know for a fact you might put up your numbers, but you're going to be on a trash-ass team.
Some people don't like living in a racist-ass city, nigga. That's why niggas don't like
I
playing
won't
in
argue
Utah.
with that. I wouldn't live in Boston. I wouldn't live in Utah. There's a few places I wouldn't live in for that very reason. For that very reason.
All right. Well, thanks for Ron for joining us with Sports Talk. As you can see, you can find him on Free Vision, his Instagram. He is also a freelance photographer who's affiliated with Everyday Celebrity Media Company. Reach out to him. And yeah, thanks and we'll touch back next week and see if all these picks were correct.
I'm hitting on at least 80%. Believe that. Hey, man, it's been real Everyday Celebrity. Until the next time, man. See y'all next Wednesday. Keep doing your thing.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the live weekly news. So like I said, this is a weekly news show every Wednesday at 8 o'clock on Facebook Live, and then it'll be uploaded on Everyday Celebrity Media Company YouTube page the next day if you miss it live. Also, when you watch this live, don't be afraid. When you see the number at the top of the screen, do not be afraid to call in and shoot the shit, voice your opinions on whatever we are talking about on that night. This is an interactive live show, so we need the people to participate. You know what I'm saying? So, also, if you like this merch, Everyday Celebrity Media merch, go on everydaycelebritymedia.com. Purchase this. Support a 100% black-owned company. You know what I'm saying? The more support you support, we grow to the faster we become an empire. And the faster we can help other people become entrepreneurs as well. So, we have t-shirts. What else we have? We have jackets. We have those little bags when you go into the grocery store. So we all got all that. So just go on everydaycelebritymedia.com and purchase something. They're real cheap. And we have a GoFundMe. So go on GoFundMe and type in Everyday Celebrity Podcast, the flagship to the Everyday Celebrity Media. Go on there and also donate if you can. A little $5 here, $5 there, $10 there. You know what I'm saying? It very, very appreciated. And you can also follow me on Instagram, Jordan Owandi. It's at the top right there. And you can follow Everyday Celebrity Media CO on Instagram. Twitter's Everyday Celebrity P-O. And also my co-host, Zola. She's not here today, but she will be back next week. You can follow her, Zola Helm, on Instagram. And thank you, and stay classy, Bay Area.